The first time Elena saw him, her breath caught, not out of admiration, but out of fear. The underground parking lot echoed with the sharp click of her heels as she ran, mascara streaking down her cheeks, the red satin dress clinging to her trembling body. Behind her, shadows moved, two armed men sent by her own father, a ruthless mafia boss who believed fear was the only language the world understood. Elena knew she had seconds before they reached her. But when she rounded the corner, ready to fight or fall, she crashed into a stranger. He was tall, steady, wearing a plain black shirt that hugged a frame built by hardship rather than vanity. His calm eyes met hers for a fleeting moment that felt like a lifetime, and in that instant, her world shifted, because in those eyes, she saw no fear, no judgment, only peace. She whispered with all the breath she had left, "Stay away from me," but even she wasn't sure if she meant it. Before we go deeper, if you believe in kindness, redemption, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It truly helps us continue telling stories that touch hearts. Elena had grown up surrounded by luxury coated in danger, her life paved with silken lies and iron walls. Her father controlled the city's underground with an iron fist, and she had learned early that trust was a currency too expensive to afford. Tonight was supposed to be just another charity gala, one more night pretending everything was normal. But she overheard something she shouldn't have, her father ordering the elimination of a man who dared oppose his empire. To her horror, that man was innocent. She tried to intervene, and for the first time in her life, she pushed back. Her father didn't tolerate rebellion. So she ran. The man she crashed into, Michael, was a single father who had fought battles far quieter but just as brutal. He worked 2 jobs to raise his little daughter Lily, still grieving the loss of his wife. Pain wasn't new to him. Struggle wasn't surprising. But saving strangers in danger? That was simply who he was. He moved with a quiet strength as the armed men approached. His calm smile should have been impossible in such a moment, but it was real. It was the smile of someone who had nothing left to lose and everything left to protect. Before Elena could speak again, Michael stepped slightly forward, shielding her without hesitation. She didn't understand why. She had given him no reason. She didn't even want anyone near her, her name was a threat, her presence a danger. But he stood there anyway, like a wall built from courage she'd never known. The armed men hesitated, momentarily thrown off by the single dad who refused to move aside. In that hesitation, security alarms blared through the garage, triggered by Elena's earlier escape. The men backed away, knowing the noise would attract witnesses. They melted into the darkness, leaving Elena shaking and breathless. Michael didn't ask who she was or what she had done. He simply offered to walk her to safety. In his silence, she found something she hadn't felt in years, freedom. She followed him to a nearby stairwell, her heart pounding not from fear anymore, but from the strange comfort his presence brought. When they reached the ground floor, she tried to push him away again. She warned him to stay away from her, insisting her life was too dangerous. But he only gave that calm smile again, a soft reassurance that cut deeper than any threat she'd ever faced. It wasn't stubbornness. It wasn't foolishness. It was understanding. For the next few days, Elena couldn't stop thinking about him. The way he stood there. The way he didn't flinch. The way he didn't treat her like the mafia princess everyone else saw. Her father tightened his grip on her, confining her movements, trying to suffocate the rebellion he sensed. But the spark had already formed. And for the first time, Elena wanted more than survival, she wanted a life of her own. Meanwhile, Michael returned home to Lily, who instantly noticed something different in her father. The heaviness he carried had shifted. He wasn't smiling more, but his eyes held a warmth that hadn't been there in months. He tried to push the memory of the frantic woman in the red dress out of his mind, but he couldn't. There was something in her eyes that reminded him of himself, someone tired, trapped, and longing for peace. Fate didn't wait long to bring them together again. 3 days later, Elena showed up at the small cafe where Michael worked mornings. She wore a simple sweater and jeans, looking far different from the trembling woman in satin. She sat quietly at the corner table, unsure of what to say or do. When Michael noticed her, he walked over with that same gentle calm that had disarmed her in the parking lot. She apologized for dragging him into her world and warned him again to stay away. But her voice cracked, betraying the truth. She didn't really want him to. Michael listened, really listened, and Elena felt something break inside her. No one had ever listened to her without wanting something in return. She told him about her father, her life, her guilt. Not everything, just enough for him to understand the weight she carried. He told her about Lily, about losing his wife, about trying to rebuild with shattered pieces. Their connection was slow, delicate, unexpected, like two broken souls finding the missing part they didn't know they needed. But danger doesn't fade simply because love begins to grow. Elena's father soon discovered her contact with Michael, and fury surged through the empire. The order was clear: eliminate the man who dared get close to his daughter. Elena begged her father, pleaded, cried, but he was unmoved. She felt the walls closing in. Every second became a countdown. When the hitmen finally cornered them in that underground garage for the second time, Elena felt her heart shatter. But Michael didn't run. He stood between her and danger once again, his voice steady, his posture unyielding. He wasn't a fighter, wasn't a hero, but he was a father, and he knew the power of love far outweighed the power of fear. The confrontation ended not with violence, but with truth. Elena screamed at her father's men that she would rather die than live another day imprisoned by a life she didn't choose. Michael held her trembling shoulders. And in that moment, something changed. The hitmen lowered their weapons. Not out of mercy, but out of respect for the courage they saw. Her father, furious yet afraid of losing his daughter entirely, reluctantly withdrew his command. Michael's calm smile had done what no threat could. It showed Elena she wasn't weak. It showed her she wasn't alone. It showed her a future she never thought she deserved. Months later, Elena found herself living a quieter, gentler life, one where she laughed with Lily, cooked in Michael's tiny kitchen, and learned what love looked like when it wasn't bought or feared. Their story wasn't perfect. Their past still lived within them. But for the first time, they were free. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps us keep creating meaningful content for you. Before you go, comment below: love is stronger than fear. Thank you for watching, Red Heart.